You're listening to Little Green Cheese, episode 71. Well, welcome back, Curd Nerds. I'm Gavin Weber, and this podcast is where you can learn about cheese making at home. Well, on the home cheese front, I've been keeping myself busy making some short videos on how to make meals with cheese, or cheese dishes, I suppose. Now, I've only made 3 so far, and you'll see those over at cheeseman.tv. And this one, this week, the one I'm releasing is raclette and tater tot casserole, something very interesting. Well, I think it is anyway, and it tasted fantastic, so there was no issues whatsoever about the taste. So let's get on with the news. So this week's news is unusual, to say the least. I'll read the title. The title is Cheesemaker Ups the Ante and US Says Yes. So it's an article by food writer John Leithleen, and this is from the Australian newspaper. So I'll read a little bit out. It's quite funny, actually. It says, Shrimp on the Barbie, step aside. America is about to get a whole new taste of Australian culinary mythology. And it has 6 legs, tastes like lime, and you've probably never eaten one. Not yet, anyway. South Australian cheese entrepreneur Chris Lloyd is about to take Australian native green weaver ants to the US in the form of her internationally acclaimed, award-winning ant-encrusted goat cheese. Weaver ants, a traditional Indigenous foodstuff in far North Australia, may not be the next sheep's back for our nation, but Lloyd and her company, Woodside Cheese Rights, they have proven the catalyst for a whole new business exporting cheeses to the US that showcases Australian Indigenous ingredients. I've dabbled with native ingredients in my cheese making for about 15 years, said Mrs. Lloyd, but the anthill has proven the catalyst, if you like, for us getting into the States. Late in 2016, Ms. Lloyd took her anthill, a $350 a kilo fresh goat cheese encrusted with weaver ants, giving the cheese a distinctive limey rind and unique texture, to an international cheese show in San Sebastian, Spain. Not only did the cheese win a gold medal, it garnered huge attention and began a conversation between Ms. Lloyd and New York cheese importer/distributor Stephanie Ciano of World's Best Cheese. In March this year, Woodside sent its first shipment of cheeses using indigenous ingredients such as saltbush, lemon myrtle, and bush tomato to the US. Woodside is also found in cheese shops in New York, Michigan, Connecticut, and California. So, very interesting article. I'll put the link in the show notes where you can see a picture of anthill cheese. It kind of looks like soft goat's cheese in square blocks, and it's got ants squished into it. I don't know what it'd taste like. Apparently it tastes pretty good. But yeah, I think that's very, very novel. So let's get on with some listener questions, and there's quite a few this week. I think I've got 5. So the first one is from Shlomo.
Hi Gavin, my name is Shlomo Ford. I live in Israel. I've started making cheeses for a few weeks. I want to thank you for the nice videos you put on the YouTube or your channel. I would like to get a table of, instead of teaspoons and cups, maybe we can have it in milliliters and grams or milligrams. Again, thank you, and I'd like to hear from you. Have a good day.
No problem, Shlomo. I appreciate that cups and teaspoons and stuff aren't always available in some countries. However, most good cooking websites, if you search the internet, there will be cup to milliliter equivalents. So just a quick few. 1 teaspoon equals 5 millilitres. 1 tablespoon equals 15 millilitres. 1 cup equals 250 millilitres. And 1 litre equals about 1 quart. 3.7 quarts equals a gallon, which equals, no, hang on, I'll get this right. 3.7 litres equals 1 US gallon, or close enough. So when I state 10-litre recipes in my cheese-making videos, that's about 2.5 gallons of milk. Anyway, like I said, the conversions are readily available on the internet. What I have started doing since I listened to Shlomo's request, in all of my cheese-making videos for about a month, and all of the cooking videos, you will see that there are the conversions for millilitres and the teaspoons, tablespoons, cups, that sort of thing. So hopefully that helps, Shlomo and everybody else out there. Same thing. Don't forget, you can just go and search on the internet for equivalents. I just ask Siri on my phone. It's pretty simple. Anyway, on to the next question. This one's from Francesca. Let me get that one up.
Hello, Gavin. I'm Francesca. I'm speaking to you from Belgium, and I've made some Camembert, but when I sold them on the surface, finally the result is that it's too much salt. So can you tell me exactly how much salt I have to use when I sold the surface? Thanks for answering me.
No problems, Francesca. In fact, I think I heard myself in the background there. I think you might have been playing a video. Anyway, good question. Salting Camembert. There's a couple of methods. You can soak them in a saturated brine, which is about 18% saturation. You can leave them in there for 3 hours, and that is adequate salting. You can also, usually I put about half a teaspoon each side and rub it in. So surface rubbing of salt, and then allow them to dry out and then start to age them, let the mould happen. So about half a teaspoon each side. For camemberts that have been placed in a 10 millimeter camembert hoop, which is 4 inches across. Anyway, I hope that helps, Francesca. Next question is from Rebeka.
Hi, Gavin. This is Rebeka from California. I've got a cheese question. Yesterday, I followed your recipe and made a Monterey Jack cheese. And I put half of the curds in one mold, half of the curds in a second mold because my mold was too small for one cheese. I made a fresh brine and poured half of the brine in the first cheese and the other half of the brine in the second cheese, and brined for 12 hours. I turned them halfway through and noticed that one was a little slimy and the other one was just fine. At the end of 12 hours, I removed them both from the brine, and the first cheese stayed fine, but the second one is quite slimy. And I don't know what would be different about the second cheese. They came from the same batch, the same brine. They sat side by side on the counter. There wasn't a temperature difference or a light difference. Why would one be? Why would it be so different? And what's causing the second cheese to come out of the brine slimy?
Okay, fantastic question. Thanks, Rebeka. I think that somehow and somewhere, one of the cheeses has a higher acidity than the other, because this would, and this is how I think this, it's probably not equal quantities of curd, even though you press them to be about the same. One cheese, maybe the larger one, would have been more acidic, and it would have stayed firm. However, the smaller one would have not had the same pH as the brine, and what happens is it tends to have a calcium ion exchange between the cheese and the brine, and that's why the surface of the cheese goes slimy. Now, that's one of the reasons why we add into our brine a tablespoon of vinegar when I make up a 2-litre batch or a half-gallon batch of brine. Also, I do think that you brined them too long. So if you were using my normal 10-litre recipe or 2.5 gallons of milk, then and you cut that in half, so you've got 2 smaller cheeses. The smaller the cheese, the less brining time you need. So you would have only had to brine them for 6 hours because you're using half of the recipe. See what I mean? So you may find that they're going to be very crumbly and very salty, seeing they were sitting in the brine for 12 hours. Anyway, I hope that helps. That solved the mystery. Not sure otherwise. I would say that one is larger than the other one by volume or weight. That's why one went slimy and one didn't. Anyway, we'll move on. And the next question is from Vivian.
Hi, Gavin. My name is Vivian. I'm from Oregon. I was attempting to make some St Marcellin cheese yesterday, which I've made several batches, and realized that I was out of the Penicillium Candidum. And I was wanting to find out if there is a substitute for that, or if that's the only mold culture that I can use. Thank you. I decided to make your halloumi cheese instead because that was the only thing I had all the ingredients for. I love watching your videos and learning how to make cheese on your YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Well, thanks, Vivian. Appreciate it. There is a substitute for St Marcellin anyway, because what you're trying to create is that wrinkly pattern on the top. What you can do is use Geotrichum candidum, which is a similar sort of white mould that you can use in cheese making, and it makes a crinkly brain-like sort of structural pattern on top of the cheese. So if you had some Geotrichum, then you could have used that. Otherwise, stick to Penicillium Candidum for your white mould cheeses. Sometimes I actually add a little bit of Geotrichum if I want to get a pattern, and it also helps with skin slip. So as St Marcellin is served up in the little ceramic pots, it probably could have got away with Geotrichum Candidum there. Anyway, I hope that helps, and I hope your halloumi turned out very nice as well. All right, last question is from Judy.
Gavin, I made Camembert cheese, and I noticed in the aging process I'm developing just a hint of red mold. Is that unsafe? Do I need to throw it out, or can it be saved? Thank you.
Well, thanks for your question, Judy. It basically means that your cheese is too moist because moist cheese attract red mold, and the red mold will probably be Brevibacterium linens, which is used on washed rind cheeses, things like Tilsit and St Paulin, and what's another good one? Raclette, which is a mold washed cheese. Okay, so that's the symptom. However, you can allow them to dry out if they're in ripening boxes a little bit, and the white bloom will take back over, because the Brevibacterial linens, the red mold, actually makes the perfect surface for the white mold to bloom and grow all over. Some cheesemakers actually add a little bit of Brevibacterial linens to their white mold cheeses and to create a neutral surface. So it may give you an advantage. It may not. However, I know it was quite a while ago when you sent this one through. Hopefully they turned out okay and you persevered. Let them dry out a little bit and the white mold will grow back. If not, just keep washing the cheeses with a simple brine solution to encourage that red mold growth, and you'll have a lovely little washed rind cheese that may stink, but it will have an amazing flavour. So one failure becomes another masterpiece, so they say. I certainly have recovered from that sort of thing before when camemberts are too moist and they get infected with Brevibacterium linens. So I just started washing them. The white mould went away. The pink mould grew, and bingo boingo, you got yourself a washed rind cheese. Anyway, thanks for your question, Judy. So that's the show for a week. It seemed to go quite fast today. I don't know what was going on. Anyway, you can watch all of my video tutorials over at cheeseman.tv. Don't forget that you can also pick up my ebook, Keep Calm and Make Cheese, The Beginner's Guide to Cheese Making at Home, at all good ebook stores. You can also find a copy of that over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Also, while you're there, don't forget to check out all the cheese making kits, supplies and equipment to make your own cheese at home. The website again is littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Don't forget that if you like the show and you really want a shout out, then pop over to iTunes and leave an iTunes review. That would be absolutely fantastic. Anyway, thanks for listening, Curd Nerds, and we'll see you next time. You've been listening to music by Kevin MacLeod. I played Malt Shop Bop and Call to the Dairy Cows.